E-mountain bikes are pretty tough considering what we put them through on a daily basis. From time to time, they do need a little bit of loving, and there's plenty of ways you can actually unintentionally ruin your e-bike by making a few mistakes. So today, I'll be taking a look at them. First up is going to be the battery on your e-mountain bike, and obviously this is a very important and expensive part of your bike. Now, ways of ruining this is it's all far too easy to finish a cold, muddy ride, sling your bike in the back of the shed and forget about it with a flat battery. You never want to leave your battery flat for long periods of time. If you're going to be leaving it in storage or not using it for a while, charge it up to 60%. But if you're out and about on it, next few days, get it up to 100%. Then there's the temperature that you keep your batteries at. Now, batteries are quite like us as humans. They like it at around 20 degrees Celsius. And if you're keeping your batteries in an area that's hotter or colder than that, then you could potentially be causing it damage too. So it could be a good idea to whip the battery out of your bike and keep it in the house rather than out in that cold Baltic shed. Mudguards are great and I definitely recommend them, but a way of ruining your bike without actually knowing it is by mounting them incorrectly and mounting them loosely. And all you need is a loose mudguard and a little bit of mud between the mudguard and your frame or fork, and you could potentially ruin all that paint and actually even wear away the metal. And if you're running a rear mudguard, it's all too easy to let this come loose, and with the movement of the suspension linkage, it is quite easy to get that to be flapping around without you even realizing, and in turn eating all that nice shiny paintwork and possibly even eating into the metal of your frame. And if you are running a mudguard on the front or the rear of your bike, a great way of keeping that paintwork looking fresh is to put some protective tape between the mudguard and your frame or your fork. Now, lube is great stuff if used in the right places, but it can become an absolute nightmare if you use it in the wrong places. For instance, if you're using a wet chain lube to lube your bearings, all it's going to do is create a big sticky mess that's going to attract dirt and cause more harm than good. And degreaser, well, that's great stuff, and as the name suggests, it will take the grease out of absolutely anything. So just go careful if you're working around your motor or your wheels with degreaser. And one last thing, if your brakes are noisy, don't go applying lube or grease to them. All you're going to do is totally ruin your brakes and make that noise even worse. Yep, your e-bike is pretty addictive and it can be really hard to put down. And a great way of ruining your e-bike is to actually overuse it, because an e-bike does require quite a bit of maintenance and a budget to keep it rolling sweet, because it can be pretty heavy on the drivetrain, the tires, and the brakes and the rubber that it rolls on. So look at how you use yours and maybe spread that load a little bit more, particularly if you're commuting in the week on your e-bike. Maybe look at buying a cheap road bike to spread those miles on rather than putting it all on your e-bike, and that way you're going to save a load of cash and your wallet's definitely going to thank you. Ignoring a basic bolt check on your e-mountain bike is a surefire way of getting caught out, and it's a way of ruining components in one fell swoop that could have been saved with a few seconds just with an Allen key. And once you finish that bolt check, it's a good idea to whip around the bearings on your bike too. For instance, if you're running a loose headset and a carbon frame, you could actually write off that frame set. And it's the same for linkage bearings. If they're running rough, you could flare and again render that frame set completely useless. An e-mountain bike's drivetrain should last a long time and many miles, but if you neglect them, they can wear out super fast and end up costing you a load of cash. And ways you can do this are going to be applying lube on lube. All this does is trap in all the old lube and debris into your chain and accelerate the wear. You need to degrease, dry, and then lube your chain. Washing your bike, then lubing the chain. Your bike and chain may well be spanking clean, but if you're applying lube to a wet chain, all you're going to do is lock in the moisture into the rollers and rust it from the inside out. Make sure it's dry before you apply that lube. And lastly, buy a chain checker. They're super cheap and easy to use and help you know when a chain is going to do more damage than good. If you run a worn chain, it will massively increase the speed of your cassette wear and your chain ring. So there we have it, a load of ways you could potentially be ruining your e-bike without even realising it. Don't forget, get involved in the comments box down below if we've left anything out. Give us a thumbs up if you enjoyed this video today, and make sure you subscribe to us here on EMBN.